The disappearance of Sharice Raggins has sparked a light within her hometown of Baltimore, Maryland. Her family, friends, and detectives are dedicated and tirelessly working to unravel the troubling mystery. What happened to Sharice Raggins? What happens when love becomes fatal? This is the Fatal Attraction Podcast with Gone in the Dark.
February 19th, 2010. It's Friday night in Baltimore, Maryland, one of the most notoriously crime-ridden cities in America.
Baltimore's homicide rate is nearly 10 times the national average, with nearly 300 murders a year. It's a problem that's been plaguing the city for several years now, and that law enforcement is trying to get under control.
Out near the city limits on the northwest side of town, 24-year-old Sharice Raggins and her mother Clarice are enjoying a quiet night at home.
You want another slice or you want me to put it away?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
That Friday evening, I do remember we had pizza.
After dinner, Sharice's boyfriend Travis Ellaby drops by.
They spent a lot of time together. He would call all the time, or he would be at the house.
Travis sort of had a similar lifestyle as Sharice. He, too, was living at home in the basement of his parents' home and right outside Center City, Baltimore.
Mom, I'm gonna go over to Travis's.
Hey, Ms. Rex. Hi, see you later.
She didn't say she'll be back at a certain time.
Every so often, she would go over to Travis and spend the entire weekend.
But this Friday night will be different.
Little did Sharice's mother know that would be the last time she would see her daughter.
Sharice Raggins grew up in Baltimore, surrounded by her loving family.
Everybody lived in Baltimore, so we did Thanksgiving, Christmas, every holiday we did together. She and I were very close. She loved her grandmom a lot. She had a few cousins that she was very close to growing up.
Sharice and her older brother Jonathan shared an especially tight bond.
She grew up very close to her brother. Jonathan was somebody that she admired. She liked to do what he did. They hung out a lot together. She was really like a social butterfly. She loved to dance. She loved to socialize. Sharice was a fun-loving young lady, laughing all the time, joking all the time. She just had a knack for making you laugh.
But it wasn't all fun and games for Sharice.
Sharice was determined to make something of herself. She had aspirations. She was goal-oriented.
She was a really good student.
She wanted to grow up and go to college, and later in life she wanted to get married and have a family.
However, Sharice's plans for the future were eventually derailed when darkness shrouded her once idyllic family life.
Sharice's dad actually committed murder and was convicted. He got a 30-year sentence. It caused her to question what type of person her father really was. It was quite shocking that he had, been accused of doing this.
Then in October of 2003, another blow.
Her brother started to get sick.
He developed lupus when he was about 18 years old, so he had the disease for 5 years, and it got progressively worse.
At just the age of 23, her brother Jonathan passed away from kidney failure.
That really shattered her, really caused her a lot of pain. She didn't really socialize as much as she used to. She didn't go out as much as she used to. She really became a bit of an introvert.
She wasn't going to school. She didn't have a lot of friends. Didn't have a lot going on in her life.
But in the spring of 2009, Sharice connected with someone who helped ease her pain.
She was seeking other relationships, someone to talk to, and that's when she met Marcus.
He was about 15 years older than her, but they connected.
They loved music, so they listened to music together regularly, and sometimes, occasionally, they would smoke some weed together.
Although there was an attraction, Sharice and Marcus remained just friends.
Now I gotta go home.
Go home? What's that about?
She really liked him, but it never went further than like a platonic thing.
Guess I'll see you later.
He was someone that was there for her in her time of need. He was someone that kind of took her through her grief.
Thanks to her friendship with Marcus, Sharice started to emerge from her depression. And later that same year, began seeing someone her own age, Travis Ellaby.
Sharice was working at a local party store, and that's where she met Travis.
He came in as a customer. That's how they met.
Hi. Do you need help with anything?
Well, you could give me a number.
He walked into her life at a time when she needed a man the most. When her brother was not there anymore, Travis filled that void for Sharice.
Times that I saw them together, she seemed happy with him. They spent a lot of time together. He filled a void that she needed to be filled with the loss of her brother and the loss of her father. And he treated me with respect.
But after leaving with Travis on Friday, February 19th, 2010, Sharice's mother becomes concerned when she hasn't heard from her daughter by the following Monday morning.
It made me a little bit nervous. Sharice never would just go and, go with him and not communicate with me. She would always call.
Sharice didn't have a cell phone, so she let her mom know that, hey, if you need me, call Travis's home. You can reach me there.
Normally they don't go more than a day without talking to one another.
With no word from Sharice, Clarice decides to call Travis.
Once it went on the second day, and then the third day, then I knew something wasn't right. So I had his cell phone number, I had his home phone number. So I attempted to call both numbers.
Hey, Mrs. Reagans.
Hey. Travis, have you seen Sharice?
Not since yesterday.
What?
He said she had left his house. He had taken her to the bus stop.
According to Travis, though, Sharice never got on the bus.
That's when Travis drops an alarming new clue to Sharice's whereabouts.
This guy, Marcus, picked her up.
Can newfound clues bring detectives closer to uncovering the truth? Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
For years, Sharice Reagans had struggled to get over the death of her older brother, Jonathan.
She didn't know how to handle that. This was the brother that she had grown up with, and all of a sudden, he was no longer there.
Fortunately, by February 2010, Sharice thought she had found someone to fill the void. Her boyfriend, Travis Ellaby.
They had dated for a couple of months.
Just having that other person to speak with and to commiserate with, it helped.
The plan was the two of them would give their own place at some point and start a family.
But now, after spending the weekend with Travis, Sharice has disappeared.
Travis said that he had taken her to the bus stop and she got into a car with the guy named Marcus.
This guy, Marcus, picked her up.
Marcus was 15 years her senior. They were good friends.
Travis says that was the last time that he saw her.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Reagans.
Let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
Okay. He was pretty respectful. He did seem to be concerned.
She had no way to contact Marcus. In fact, she had never met him.
It's just a name that I remember.
That afternoon, Sharice's mom and aunt drive over to the home where Travis lives with his parents.
We sat down and talked with the parents. They said, okay, she was here. She stayed the weekend. He did go with her to the bus stop.
In fact, Travis's mother says her husband went to pick up Travis from a nearby supermarket parking lot after Sharice left with Marcus.
When Travis's stepdad picked him up, Sharice was already gone, and Travis's parents hadn't seen her since either.
I want to thank both of you for seeing us.
By this time, Sharice's mother is panicked. She's wondering what's going on.
After wrapping up their conversation with Travis's parents, Clarice and Brenda head straight to the police station to file a missing persons report.
Her daughter did not have a credit card. Her daughter didn't even have a cell phone. So there's no way possible that her daughter would just run off. She believed something serious happened to her daughter.
I knew something wasn't right.
The next morning, detectives pay their own visit to the alibi home.
Police arrived at the home unannounced. They were allowed in and speak with Travis Alibi. That conversation occurred across the dining room table. It was very informal in nature.
Nobody's heard anything from her?
Nothing.
Man, when was the last time you saw her?
Travis goes into the same account that he gave Sharice's mother.
But this time, Travis adds a new wrinkle to the story.
During that time where they walked to the bus stop, he explained to police that the two had gotten into an argument.
It happened in a shopping center parking lot they were traveling through on the way to the bus stop.
They were having arguments back and forth, that she threatened to leave him because he didn't have a car.
He says she's telling him she doesn't want to ride the bus. And they just kind of went back and forth about that.
What do you want to do?
Sharice was angry and frustrated that they were continually taking public transportation.
Where you going?
I'm going to call a ride.
According to Travis, Sharice went over to a nearby payphone to call a friend of hers named Marcus to come pick her up.
What do you know about Marcus?
Not much.
He did not know him at all and had never seen him. They were not friends.
He said she would always bring him up whenever we were having a fight. She would always threaten to leave me for this guy, Marcus.
Despite that, Travis says he waited outside the supermarket with Sharice until Marcus arrived.
Travis tells the detectives, hey, I'm not going to leave my girlfriend just sitting out here. Anything could happen to her in front of this grocery store.
According to Travis, they waited 20 tense minutes for Marcus to get there.
Travis says a pickup truck pulled up in front of the store.
That's a ride?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, bye.
He watched Sharice get inside that truck and they drove away.
He never saw her again after that.
So you're sure it was this Marcus guy?
As far as I know.
He tells them that he couldn't see inside the truck because of tinted windows.
What did you do after that?
I called my stepdad.
Travis tells the detectives it was dark and he didn't really feel like walking all the way back home.
His cell phone wasn't working, so he also had to use a payphone and call his stepfather to come pick him up. And his stepfather comes and picks him up and takes him back home.
Travis's stepfather confirms the account as well.
Travis's stepfather says, yes, I got this phone call and then picked him up and we came home together.
But to see if the rest of Travis's story checks out, detectives need to find and talk to Marcus. The question is, where to begin?
Her mother doesn't know much about Marcus. She doesn't even know his last name. Travis was just as clueless about Marcus as Sharice's mother was.
But later that day, when detectives are thinking they may never find Marcus, the unexpected happens.
Detectives get a phone call from Marcus.
Yes, I hear you talk to me.
Can newfound clues bring detectives closer to uncovering the truth? Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
In Baltimore, Sharice Reagan's friend, Marcus Edwards, has just reached out to detectives about the missing 24-year-old's disappearance. Earlier that day, Sharice's boyfriend, Travis Alibi, told detectives Sharice had left with Marcus shortly before she disappeared.
Detectives are trying to figure out, does he have anything to do with Sharice's disappearance?
Sharice's mom called and said she's missing.
Marcus told detectives he'd just gotten off the phone with Sharice's mom.
Sharice didn't have a cell phone, so he just called the house phone to see, hey, how's it going? What's going on? And that's when Sharice's mother tells Marcus what's going on.
She seemed really upset, and she thought I may know where Sharice is, but
I have no idea.
Detectives want to question him, of course, about Sharice's whereabouts. They want to talk to him about Travis's statement.
So would you be willing to come down to the station and talk to us more about that?
Of course. I want to do anything I can do to help.
Marcus goes right down to the precinct and he does an interview with the detectives.
I apologize as I sit downstairs and drag you in. It's not a problem. But we need to talk to you firsthand. Okay.
Marcus came across as very sincere and very earnest and very caring about Sharice.
He is being extremely cooperative.
Do you recall where you were that day at 21st?
Working all day, yes.
Do you know where?
On Park Heights. Matter of fact, I had 2 parties.
He said that he was working a double shift as a caterer over in Baltimore City.
So you were over there in that area all day?
Yeah, I was at work early in the day until 11 at night.
He said he was working at a bar mitzvah, nowhere in the area where Sharice went missing. It was a significant number of miles away.
But detectives aren't buying Marcus's story just yet.
They told Marcus they discovered he had the same type of pickup truck that Travis described picking up Sharice that evening.
Did she call you that day?
Yeah, called me that day.
Any phone calls that were like unexplained that you didn't recognize that day?
No, I didn't get any calls.
Marcus was adamant that he did not get a phone call from Sharice.
He lets detectives know that, yes, he does have a pickup truck that does match the description of the truck that picked up Sharice, but was not understanding how his vehicle could be 2 places at one time.
He's like, this must be a coincidence. It definitely was not my truck.
It was somebody else. I don't know. I was at work.
When detectives ask Marcus the last time he remembers seeing Sharice, he says it was just a few days before she disappeared.
It was on Wednesday, I know that.
So you were at her house?
Yeah, I was at the house.
Okay. Describe to me what happened that day, if you could.
While he was at the house, Sharice got a phone call. And Marcus said he could overhear someone on the other end yelling and cursing and saying, whoever that guy is there, he shouldn't be there. You better get out of there.
Marcus told detectives he was pretty sure it was Travis on the other end of the line.
He was, I don't know what he was saying, but I took it that he was saying something because I was there.
It's just Marcus. Oh my God.
He kept yelling. He said, told her, I better be gone or something when he get there.
He wasn't real happy with you being there.
Probably not, but whatever. I went outside and then I left.
He told the detectives that was the last time that he saw Sharice.
Okay, Marcus.
But is Marcus telling the truth? After wrapping up their conversation with him, detectives decide to bring Travis in to answer a few more questions.
The second time when detectives talk to Travis, they bring some photos along, a photo array.
So was one of these the truck that you saw pick up Sharice?
Travis looked at all these photos and he picks up a photo.
This is the one.
And he said this was the vehicle that Sharice got into.
Sure enough, the truck Travis picks out of the lineup is the one belonging to Marcus.
Are you sure that's it?
Pretty sure.
But detectives wonder, did Travis ever get a visual on Marcus himself that night?
Travis said, I didn't see him. The windows were tinted.
He's like, I wouldn't recognize him. I wouldn't know him if I saw him. I don't know the man.
However, Travis is adamant that Marcus must have been the person driving the truck. After all, Sharice had said Marcus was the one coming to pick her up.
They presented him with an aerial map where he drew for the police which way Marcus came in, which way Marcus and Sharice left.
After speaking with Travis, detectives decide to take a closer look into Marcus's alibi, that he was at work the evening Sharice went missing.
Remarkably, everything Marcus told them checked out.
They spoke to Marcus's boss. He confirmed that Marcus was by his side the entire time. His alibi is confirmed. His story is solid.
Maybe Sharice told Travis she was calling Marcus, but actually called someone else.
But who? Fortunately, when detectives contact the supermarket where Sharice was last seen, they get some good news.
This parking lot happens to be completely covered in surveillance video by the supermarket.
Detectives decide to subpoena the surveillance footage for the entire parking lot.
While they were at it, detectives also subpoenaed the records from that payphone where Sharice had allegedly called for a ride.
However, retrieving these materials will be easier said than done.
When investigators are dealing with phone companies and supermarket corporate offices, it can take a while for them to actually get their hands on such important items.
While they wait, detectives continue digging for a lead to Sharice's whereabouts. But the lead will soon come to them.
Hey, detectives. I have a young lady who would like to speak with you all about the disappearance of Sharice Reagans.
Oh, great.
One of Sharice's coworkers came to the police station saying that she had information that might help with the investigation. According to Sharice's coworker, Sharice's relationship with Travis had been coming to an end.
Sharice played it over. She was done with it.
Can newfound clues bring detectives closer to uncovering the truth? Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction Podcast.
Detectives investigating the disappearance of 24-year-old Sharice Reagans have just learned that she planned to break things off with her boyfriend, Travis Alibi, around the time she went missing.
According to her coworker, Sharice had confided in her about this.
It seemed like the stress of her relationship was really getting to her.
Sharice felt like he was overbearing. He was jealous. He was becoming obsessed with her.
It was becoming back and forth, too aggressive.
He called day in and day out. He called multiple times a day.
Sharice's coworker tells detectives that things had escalated just 4 days before Sharice's disappearance.
The incident happened the same day that Marcus dropped by to see Sharice. Travis had come over and completely unloaded on her for hanging out with Marcus.
You know I don't like him hanging around you. I know he got a thing for you.
Travis, you gotta chill. Me and Marcus are just friends, you know that.
Nah, I ain't buying.
The situation had gotten so heated that it garnered outside attention.
It's so loud and so full of so much venom that the neighbor then calls the police.
By the time an officer arrived, Travis had left, and Sharice blew the whole thing off.
She didn't want to get Travis in trouble.
She tells them it wasn't a big deal, there was no big disturbance.
It was just a little argument.
Sharice didn't give the officer Travis's real name either.
What's his name?
Sharice actually gave the police a fake name. She did not use the name Travis Alibi.
No. Even through all of that, she still wanted to protect him.
A report was made, but nothing further occurred from that.
Well, listen, if you need anything more, you give me a call, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
The 911 call was routed to a different department than the department that is investigating Sharice's disappearance. So they have no idea about this disturbance that took place.
Until now, hoping to learn more, detectives follow up with a neighbor who called police.
Before the argument between Travis and Sharice started, the neighbor saw Marcus at the house.
Shortly thereafter, they saw Travis arrive.
And Travis's behavior was immediately suspicious.
The neighbor tells the detectives how he watched Travis hiding behind our vehicle, but watching Sharice's house.
Don't worry about it.
He also seemed to be arguing with someone over the phone.
According to the neighbor, once Marcus left the home, Travis made his way inside.
The neighbor says this other guy leave Sharice's house, and then he watches Travis come into the house.
Seconds later, the couple burst out onto the front porch.
And then that's when he hears the arguments. That's when he hears the fighting.
Not only does the neighbor's story confirm Marcus's account of that day, the fact that Travis saw him leave provides an important piece of the puzzle.
That gave him the information to provide to the police on what car Marcus supposedly picked Sharice up on the day she went missing.
Detectives decide that it's beginning to look more and more like Travis Ellaby is responsible for Sharice Reagan's disappearance.
Especially once detectives take a look at the incoming call logs from the landline at Sharice's home.
Travis was always calling Sharice, constantly.
Sometimes 1, 2, 3 times in an hour. Between January 1st, 2010 and February 18th, 2010, there were 946 calls.
But on the Sunday that Sharice disappeared, the calls suddenly stopped.
Given the sheer number of phone calls in the month and a half before she went missing, the absolute cessation of calls on the very day she went missing was quite concerning to the police.
As if Travis already knew something.
And when the records from the supermarket payphone come back, they raise another shocking red flag.
There was no indication that Sharice used that phone to make a call to anyone.
In fact, the only call that was ever traced from that payphone was Travis's call to his stepfather.
But the real kicker is the surveillance footage from the shopping center parking lot where Travis claimed Marcus picked Sharice up.
At no point on any surveillance video did you ever see Sharice in that parking lot. Travis walked across to the payphone and placed a call, but he was all by himself.
There's no Sharice, no phone call, no mysterious pickup truck that gives her a ride.
That story was nothing but fiction.
But if that's the case, what really happened to Sharice Reagan?
It seemed pretty clear that Travis Ellaby was the only one who knew the answer.
And soon, detectives will sit down with him once more.
He did not respond to the location as you stated, Travis, and pick her up. It just didn't happen.
Can newfound clues bring detectives closer to uncovering the truth? Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
From the beginning, Travis Ellaby has maintained that his girlfriend Sharice Reagan used a payphone near a bus stop to call Marcus Edwards for a ride shortly before she disappeared on the evening of February 21st, 2010. But thanks to payphone records and surveillance video, detectives now know that's a lie.
The police asked him to take a ride up to headquarters in Towson, Maryland for a follow-up interview, which he agreed to.
Detectives begin by presenting Travis with the bombshell surveillance video.
You might want to slide your chair in. Try and get the best picture on here if you can.
The police told him, when you see yourself and Sharice walk across the parking lot, let us know.
Travis, take this pen and paper. If you see something, just write the time right there for us.
He has to acknowledge that. He doesn't see Sharice.
Anything more here? I haven't seen.
They explained to him, Travis, we've watched it. In addition, we've tracked down Marcus. We've talked to him. His alibi checks out.
He did not respond to the location as you stated, Travis, and pick her up. It just didn't happen. It's impossible. Just like the phone calls didn't happen.
It was at that moment that the story completely changed.
Travis says, I would never hurt Sharice. I love Sharice, but I haven't been completely honest.
Put on the spot by detectives, Travis admits that Sharice hadn't called anyone for a ride.
Travis told detectives that, hey, look, Sharice and we decided to break up.
We're not together anymore. We broke up.
She says she's through with me, we're done.
But according to Travis, they had one last hurrah on the evening of February 21st.
Travis tells police, we decided, this was our last day together. Let's just go blow it on some weed. Let's get some blunts If we chip in together, we can afford it. And Travis tells police that's exactly what they did. They went downtown.
We didn't have a car, so we got on the bus.
On the bus where?
Went down to Cary. We got some weed, and that was it. We split it, and that was it.
They bought the marijuana, split that small bag of marijuana between the two of them. Their relationship was over, and they parted ways.
Sharice waited on a bench for a bus to take her back home to West Baltimore, and he walked a couple blocks over and waited on another bus to take him back out to the county.
Nothing happened that day. I left. Did you see her get on the bus? No, I didn't see her get on the bus.
He says the reason he never told the detectives this before was because he was just really worried about how it would all look.
We split the weed, and then that was it. That's what I'm saying, the end of the relationship. I didn't say anything about the weed. It's weed.
He was afraid to tell detectives that this was a drug buy. And so he made up the first story to cover up for the fact that they went out and bought marijuana.
I'm doing what's right. I'm telling you what I know. Okay? I can't tell you something that I don't know.
The detectives didn't believe a word of what Travis was telling them.
As far as the detectives are concerned, there's only one possible solution to this puzzle.
Travis is responsible for Sharice Reagan's disappearance. He essentially has been lying this entire time.
But arresting their suspect will be easier said than done.
Detectives don't have any proof that Travis killed Sharice.
This is still a missing persons case.
It's possible for anybody.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Not for her. It's not for her.
They're 100% certain that Travis killed Sharice, but they had to find her body.
Detectives are forced to let Travis go for the time being and spend the next several weeks searching for Sharice.
Detectives canvass the area in search of Sharice Reagan's body.
The area of Baltimore County where this occurred would most likely have been in the vicinity of a number of strip malls with many businesses, each of which had its own dumpster behind it. It would have certainly been possible for Travis to have disposed of Sharice's body in one of those dumpsters, with her body never being seen again.
Could it possibly be that one of those dumpsters was her gravesite?
Detectives went out to the local landfill to search and see if perhaps her body ended up there after being disposed. But they didn't have any luck.
Sharice Reagan could not be found.
However, on March 26, 2010, detectives do uncover one tantalizing clue that suggests they're on the right track.
During the course of this investigation, the detectives received Travis's cell phone records.
Travis thought he was smart enough to destroy the phone, but digital experts were able to pull data off Travis's cell phone.
By analyzing the data, forensic experts are able to reconstruct some of Travis's messages.
There was one message in particular that stood out.
About a week before his girlfriend goes missing, he had written, basically, I just want to kill them.
Can newfound clues bring detectives closer to uncovering the truth? Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction Podcast.
In the spring of 2010, Baltimore detectives believe they've uncovered damning evidence that Travis Alibi killed his girlfriend, Sharice Reagan.
He had texted, I just want to kill them, approximately a week before Sharice went missing.
When police tried to talk to Travis about this, he refused to say anything else, and he lawyered up.
Detectives decide that there's enough circumstantial evidence to prove that Travis did kill Sharice Reagan.
Detectives feel certain they found their purse, but there's still one problem.
And without a body, can police ever bring Travis Alibi to justice?
case became a waiting game at that point to see if Sharice's body would ever be recovered.
We definitely were very frustrated. Everybody in the family, everybody in our church, they would constantly call and say, any news, any change, do you know anything?
Months become years, but Sharice's mother still holds on to hope.
I always felt that justice would be done. In my heart, I did, because I know God, and I believe that God is a God of vengeance.
In a case where nobody's ever recovered in a homicide, every day that goes by makes it more likely that the victim is in fact deceased and hasn't decided to move and not tell anybody. So the longer the government waits, the better the case gets.
In the end, prosecutors wait until September of 2016.
After about 7 years, I determined that a sufficient amount of time had elapsed, and I was comfortable charging Mr. Alibi.
On September 12th, detectives finally placed Travis under arrest for first-degree murder.
We just felt all along that he had done something, so we felt kind of relieved, even though we didn't have the body.
When the trial begins in November of 2017, the prosecutor argues that Travis himself gave detectives ample evidence.
We had evidence of his story, which changed dramatically. The defendant was adamant over the course of a month as to what happened. He had intricate details, which were all a fabrication, which he ultimately admitted was not true.
They had the text message as proof stating that he wanted to kill Sharice.
But according to prosecutors, it wasn't until Travis walked Sharice towards the bus stop that Sunday evening that his murderous fantasy became reality.
Something happened on that walk. Whether they got 10 feet or halfway to the supermarket, I don't know. But something happened.
Exactly what? Prosecutors can't say. But they do have a theory.
Sharice had plans on leaving Travis.
Travis, I don't think we should see each other anymore.
What?
That was what sent Travis over the edge. The fact that Sharice wanted to break up with him was too much for Travis to handle. Travis, in a blind rage, killed Sharice Reagan.
He probably punched her. She hit her head on something, and it killed him, and he freaked out.
Ultimately, he dumped her body in a dumpster.
Then, prosecutors say, Travis had tried to cover up what he'd done.
Before Sharice was ever known to be missing, before her mother even knew she was missing, he told his own mother that Marcus picked Sharice up. He started that intricate set of lies the moment he got home.
He was a liar from the beginning.
And didn't stop lying until all the evidence proved and shown that he was not telling the truth.
Attempting to pin what happened on Marcus, who Travis probably blamed for the breakup, was the ultimate revenge.
When it's the defense's turn, they bet everything on the fact that Sharice's body was never found.
The defense primarily argued that the state simply hadn't proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. Simply put, that the state couldn't prove whether a murder, in fact, had even occurred.
The argument works. To a point.
The judge determined that the prosecution did not 100% prove that Travis intended to kill Sharice.
However, the lack of solid evidence also didn't mean that Travis didn't kill her.
The judge finds Travis Alibi guilty of second-degree murder.
Second-degree murder, unlike first-degree murder, does not require the proof of premeditation. Being that no body was ever recovered and the state not being able to prove specifically how the death occurred, it would be difficult to determine that premeditation had taken place.
Travis Alibi is sentenced to 25 years in prison.
When the judge handed down the sentence, there was no reaction from him.
Travis Alibi didn't flinch. He remained stoic the whole time, showing no emotion whatsoever.
Sharice's mother has a far different reaction, though.
Mrs. Reagan's burst out crying. After 7 years of waiting, she finally heard that Travis Elby was guilty of killing her daughter, Sharice.
I felt relieved. I felt that justice was served.
We were just looking at each other in relief, and happy.
I wish it could be longer from all the pain that he caused me and my family.
Over a decade after she disappeared, Sharice's family still cherishes her memory.
She was a great person, and when I think of Sharice, I think of her smile.
Moments that really bring me joy when I think about my daughter is the weekends that Sharice would spend with my mom, because she was very close to her. They're both gone, and when I think of Sharice and I think of my mom, in light of them both being together, I think those are the times that bring me the most joy.
A young woman with a captivating smile, a cherished daughter whose bright future was tragically cut short far too soon. A life with limitless potential, sadly gone far too soon. We must work together to create a world where women are protected and such tragedies like this are prevented. Sharice Raggins will forever be celebrated and missed by her loved ones. Coming up on the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast.
They were two troubled people who found strength and solace in each other's arms.
She was struggling with depression.
They were each other's support system.
They both have that shared experience.
Until she suddenly disappeared.
Wait! She usually showed up for visitation.
There's something really wrong going on here.
Siblings already grappling with a difficult childhood become increasingly concerned when their calls to their sister go unanswered. What happened to Veronica Jones? Tune in to the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast. We will see you in the next episode.